question about the subjects.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Commands, talk today.
Oh, what a compliment. For that, I thank you.
What is happening now? There are hopeless and hungry.
Now it's time for us to stand up to God or we fall to nothing.
It's time now for Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Listening to the general public, what the public is saying.
And good afternoon, Radio Cayman Nation, and a happy Thursday to all of our loyal listeners. As always, you're tuned into your station of the nation, Radio Cayman, and I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Thank you again for letting us into your homes, cars, and offices for today's episode of Talk Today. While every episode of Talk Today features very important topics, we do encourage everyone to stay closely tuned to our show today, as we have two very important interviews lined up. We will be meeting with members of the Hazard Management in regards to assistance efforts for the Bahamas, and then with the faculty from UCCI on their new trade programs. As well, we do wish to extend a special mention to our sponsors, Ms. Angela and Mr. Arthur of Savannah Pharmacy and Countryside Shopping Village, and to Fidelity Bank. Our sponsors are in large part the reasons that we are able to continue the valuable work that we do for the people of the Cayman Islands. As always, we do welcome your feedback and questions and invite you to join the conversation. Simply dial 1-800-534-8255. That's 1-800-534-TALK or 949-8037. Stay tuned for Talk Today following this brief disclaimer.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Live Communication.
Let your voice be heard.
Radio Commands, talk today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in for today's show, I'm your fill-in host, Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And we have in studio Ms. Danielle Coleman and Mr. Simon Boxall from Hazard Management Cayman Islands, here to discuss the relief efforts being coordinated for the Bahamas. Good afternoon, all. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us, Ray.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thanks, Raymond.
Thank you, Simon. Well, let's get started. I mean, we've had Bahamas have had a very difficult time, and we're seeing the effects of the storm moving further up the coast of the U.S. right now. Can you give us any update that you may have from your end of state of affairs in the Bahamas and how they're shaping up a few days following the storm?
I guess we'd like to really start with, our heartfelt condolences to the Bahamas. I mean, everyone there who's in Abaco and Freeport and who's suffered throughout the last four days have really, really been through it. And again, from a hazard management perspective and from a Cayman Islands government perspective, we really do give our sincere support and heartfelt feelings towards them, because it's just a really difficult time. And we've seen it in Ivan ourselves 15 years ago. But again, storms are getting stronger and stronger. I won't go into the whole climate change scenario, but at the same time, it's like, well, I can. I'd love to, actually. Maybe a different show. But, we are seeing intensity increasing dramatically. And again, it's just a really difficult time up there for them right now. From a sort of Cayman Islands government standpoint, we're working very closely with the Governor's Office, that's Hazard Management, Health Services Authority, the Governor's Office, and we're talking very closely with NEMA, which is the National Emergency Management Agency in Bahamas. Now, again, they are the equivalent to the Hazard Management Department, the National Office, and they're coordinating the entire response. Obviously, there's government key figures like we have the NEAC structure here, the National Emergency Operations Centre. But they're also working very closely with SEDEMA, so we're also obviously in correspondence with SEDEMA to see how we can help.
For those who aren't aware, what is SEDEMA?
It's the Caribbean Disaster Management Emergency Management Agency, which we've actually just signed up to ourselves here in the Cayman Islands.
That's right.
And they're a regional body to respond in any disaster. They also do a lot of blue skies training, so simulations and plan writing and so forth. So Cayman Islands have just signed up for SEDEMA, so we are currently negotiating. Obviously, we had a meeting at 9 o'clock this morning with SEDEMA set way before this happened, unfortunately, of course, because SEDEMA is now obviously hands tied right now in Bahamas.
Of course.
That will be delayed. However, we will be obviously a fully fledged member soon, we hope.
If I could just go back, you mentioned blue sky training.
Blue sky. So blue sky training is anything that's not done in a disaster. So blue skies is just literally the weather is good. We prepare. Blue skies. We say blue skies and anger being obviously in the midst of a hurricane or the aftermath. But we're working very closely with them. We know they're currently conducting damage and needs assessments. Okay. Now, again, I think this is obviously very, very well intentioned. We want to collect things. We want to do things for Bahamas. But until we know what they need, until we know, the NEMA themselves are saying this is exactly what we need, it's very difficult to sort of say, great, we're going to send people over and send things over and equipment. We wouldn't want to. Again, it's just not the thing to do. So we tend to, we work with them. They're coordinating the whole response. We offer things, and we have offered things like the helicopter. We're looking also, we've offered a medical team, supplies from hazard management and so forth. But until that's accepted, we would never send that. So again, it's just waiting for the sign-off from the National Emergency Management Agency in Bahamas so we can start.
Have they conferred anything that they do need right now?
They have a sort of needs assessment of medical things. Okay. Again, and we are currently working with both private and public partnerships in Cayman to see what of those meds we have. But again, whether they can be sourced closer to Bahamas, avoiding a lot of transport, unnecessary transport costs and so forth, is so to be seen. So we are doing a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that things are ready to go as soon as we get the nod from Bahamas.
If I can tap into your personal experience, before the show we were talking about your excursion to BVI last year.
2017. It seems like, 2 years ago now. Yeah.
Is that 2 years already?
Yeah.
Time flies. I'm getting older a lot faster than I thought I was. Thank you.
We're all getting older.
We're getting older faster. If you can shed some light on what that experience was like, and because it's daunting for those that are there, but to fly into a disaster zone or an area that has been hit pretty hard and have to help in any way, because I know we had our own Dean Bremer who went over to help in Turks and Caicos last year with their radio station. From that perspective, and if a team were to head over this year, what are some of the things that they would expect and see coming from the territory that wasn't hit to one that actually hit pretty hard?
And I have to admit, the response recovery part of my work here at Hazard Management is definitely my favourite part of the job. I really do. Enjoy is definitely the wrong word, but I really thrive in that kind of environment. It's absolute chaos. It's dirty. You never ever get clean. You don't sleep much. Food is pretty minimal. But you do really come together as a team. And again, you hope that your team members are good people, because if they're not and there's any disagreements internally, it can be very difficult. I've been very lucky in the BVI experience to have a really solid team. Ironically, including my husband, who, again, after a month, we didn't fight at all, which was good. But again, it's just making sure that if teams, teams do go into these kind of environments, or responders do go into the environments, that they really are psychologically ready. Both, obviously, you need to be prepared with your personal kit, knowing that you have to be self-sufficient. The last thing we want to do is go into a country and obviously be more of a burden on the actual system itself. Food is already short, water's already short, we know that. Equipment, accommodation's short. So you have to be very, very, very well prepared for, being self-sufficient, being willing to sleep in a sleeping bag, in a tent if you're lucky, with very, very difficult situation.
Can I add something?
Yeah, of course.
Please, yes.
One of the things as well, just in a similar vein as we were talking about the relief goods, the agencies that are coming in, the NGOs, it's important that they go through again the mechanism, the National Emergency Management Agency in Bahamas. I'm sure they're, in the aftermath of a disaster, all these groups come in wanting to help, wanting to support, but it really needs to be kind of coordinated again through the government,
Bahamas.
through the the disaster agency, and that way it's coordinated, it's efficient, and that outpouring of support and help, it's so important, and it's sort of a bit time bound as well. The news cycle moves and people's perspectives and focus goes to something else, but they definitely need a lot of help, but it needs to be done in a kind of an organized way.
Or just not, you have to have training, significant training to do this, because I know, as I say, a lot of volunteers come forward. I've had my phone run off the hook over the last couple of days saying, can I go in and help?
That was my next question. What is the mechanism?
Well, one of the reasons why we do a lot of training for our community response teams, and also the Red Cross do their national intervention team training, is to make sure people are prepared, because the CERT concept came about because I can't remember what the actual disaster was, but it was a lot of volunteers going to help, but they weren't trained, so a lot of them died as a result of it. So you've got to be really well trained to go into this kind of scenario and actually be a benefit as opposed to a burden.
Are there programs on island to offer that kind of training?
Well, we do have something in our National Emergency Operations Center structure called VARS, which is the Volunteers Agency Response Support Team. So again, it's sort of a coordinated function. When they come in, there's a mechanism to ensure that they're, we know which areas we believe are the most hard hit. The areas are probably based on that initial damage assessment, and maybe even the aerial flyover in the beginning. We know where the support is probably most urgently needed, and you don't want to have 8 different teams coming in with tarpaulins or something.
No, of course.
It's all about coordination at the end of the day.
Of course.
So
we do have to take a quick commercial break. I wouldn't mind hearing a bit more about that phase program. Because after these asks, I'm sure those that do want to help, so they know the mechanism for how they can go through the training in the future, and then how people can actually help with the current relief efforts right now. Be back with more talk today following this brief commercial break.
Sometimes people leave you halfway through the wood. No one is alone.
Once upon a time, all your wishes came true, and you lived happily ever after. Or so you thought. Come see Cayman Drama Society's presentation of the musical Into the Woods.
Into the woods to grandmother's house and home before dark.
The show opens Thursday, September 12th, closes Saturday, October 5th. Tickets are selling fast. Order yours now at cds.ky.
Into the woods and out of the woods.
To be continued.
Have you signed the cruise port referendum petition and still need to verify your signature through the Elections Office verification process? With its extended hours, you can do so today by visiting their headquarters Monday through Thursday from 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Fridays from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. For more information, please visit elections.ky.
Miss World Cayman Islands presents Destiny, Saturday, September 7, 2019 at the Harkwell Theater. Cocktail hours starting at 6 p.m. with the pageant starting sharply at 7 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at eventpro.ky.
RC Fusion featuring Billboard's pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
Brought to you by Tasty Patties. Baked fresh every 30 minutes. Available at Tortuga locations, the Patty Express Industrial Park, and Bake It and Take It on Eastern Avenue. Get tasty now.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
and welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in for today's show, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, who is on vacation, and we do wish he's and hope he's having a fantastic, well-deserved break from his duties and roles here at Radio Cayman. But we have in studio Ms. Danielle Coleman, Mr. Simon Boxall from Hazard Management here discussing relief efforts for the Bahamas. We do wish our Caribbean neighbors all the best in their recovery efforts. Before the break, we were talking briefly about the volunteer initiatives. If we could offer a bit of clarity on the volunteer training or lack of volunteer opportunities that exist and what training might be available for volunteers looking to help with.
Well, what I was really referencing is not so much teams going over to the Bahamas, but they will have a mechanism similar to what we have, which is sort of a coordinating mechanisms for all the civic groups, things like Rotary, Kiwanis, ADRA, Red Cross, even the churches. So if you have a disaster, in this case a hurricane, all those volunteer resources can be sort of channeled in the direction through the national mechanism, through the government of Bahamas effectively. So, they know where the areas of most need are, the priority areas of people that are most desperate need of help, and they don't just bombard a community with supplies that they may not need. It's kind of an organized mechanism. So, NEMA in Bahamas will have a similar structure to what we have here in Cayman, which is just this coordinating mechanism for all, and possibly the overseas NGOs that are coming down to help as well. It just sort of keeps it in sort of a focused and coordinated way. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, just to drop in there. I know in the BVI OMA experience, we had a lot. Again, things have changed dramatically since Ivan days. So you have this international. It's almost a business. Disaster response is now a business, so to speak. So certainly you have a load of different people descending on your shores. There's one thing having a big hurricane, you're already in complete disarray. But then you've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of aid workers coming in to try and respond. Now, again, that has to be coordinated, but really and truly, it should be by invitation only. You really shouldn't be turning up on someone's shores and say, I'm here to help. Whilst intentions may be good, it really can, become a big part of the problem. So in Irma, we had a load of different agencies coming in. Some had already been established on the ground, so Red Cross, Rotary, and so forth, Lions. But you do get a lot of pop-up charities that tend to, arrive on the doorstep and all of a sudden have just had their, popped up overnight and you're not sure how kosher it is. So, again, a quick plug there for anyone giving money to a charity at this stage for Bahamas. Be incredibly careful about where you give your money to, because I know Haiti in particular was a great example about a lot of money being invested in these sort of pop-up charities to help Haiti, and a lot of the money never saw Haiti's shores itself. So, if you are giving money, again, from a hazard management perspective, it's very wise at this stage not to be giving goods, unsolicited items, but cash. Make sure the charity you choose, be it Red Cross, be it Rotary, be it whatever it might be, is something you've done your research on and is a good organisation, and that you know where the funds will go and how it will be spent.
I did briefly read through some of the verifying mechanisms for charities, but can you offer any insight to how people could research these charities a little better? Are there any other organizations?
We can speak from our perspective.
Please,
I don't want to speak from the government perspective, but I can definitely speak.
We license our charities now. The non-governmental organizations are actually, they have to go through a sort of vetting process to sort of be an official NGO.
Yes.
Yeah. So that helps, but it's certainly a problem. So and I think that urge to help is a very good thing, and I don't think it should be suppressed. It just needs to be sort of coordinated. I think even some of those volunteers who are just coming decided, okay, we're going to send a medical team from, I don't know, Minnesota. They can be used probably very usefully, but they've got to sort of fit into the mechanism rather than just do the
game plan, right?
In Irma, again, in BVI, we were having weekly NGO meetings. And again, that was saying, okay, so each agency say, this is what we're doing, this is where we're working. So again, that's the coordination of it. I know we learned a lot in Ivan days is that, goods were going somewhere to East End, for example, not going to West Bay, or you're getting duplication. And we really do try it, in 2019 to avoid that kind of miscommunication. We understand that communication will be a difficult scenario.
It is.
But coordination is absolutely key when it comes down to both national response but also international response.
During the break earlier in the show, or before the break, sorry, we were discussing the some of the challenges you found with people donating goods and just if you can shed some light on that, because I think one of the things people tend to do is, if I don't have the cash, so I'll donate whatever I have that's not being used in my house. But you've mentioned that could be a problematic situation.
Yeah. It can. I guess I'll speak from my own experience here. I mean, again, in Thailand after the tsunami in 2004, we were receiving massive loads of containers of clothes. I mean, eventually we utilised the clothes to make dolls out of. But of course, in the immediate aftermath of any disaster, clothes really aren't the biggest priority. We may feel that people really need clothes, and they do eventually. But at the same time, clothes can be generally found in the country itself. Water and supplies like canned goods and so forth, again, they can be procured much closer to Bahamas, either Nassau or the States and so forth, and sent over. So you're cutting a lot of those transport costs. You're also empowering or putting money back into the community, because again, Bahamas right now, tourism product will be off the radar for some time. So empowering that, putting money back into the economy is a really good thing. My BVI experience, again, we had so many containers full of rotten clothes. So the clothes get put into containers and they're dry and fantastic. They get shipped to BVI, and of course they come out. By the time they've got there, they're really rotten, and so they're blocking all the relief supplies coming in. As the humanitarians on the ground, or the government in BVI, we also had a 40-foot container full of broken doors. What are we going to do with broken doors when there's actually medication that has to come in as a priority, but that container of broken doors is actually stopping that medication coming in? One of the all-time things that we often experience in disasters is medical supplies that have gone past the sell-by date, and there's nothing that a humanitarian can do with those items. They have to be destroyed. Now, of course, as you imagine, destroying clothes and stuff like that is one thing, but trying to destroy medical supplies that actually, have potentially have some serious consequences if they were put in the wrong hands is another different ballgame. So that takes a lot of energy and time away from the actual response at hand. So obviously, SEDEMA and NEMA know exactly what they want after these damage needs assessments. Once they're conducted, if they're asking for certain things, great. Obviously, we'll do our very best to send them. But there's also, standardization of equipment is really important.
Sorry, the standardization of equipment?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time. If a country's asking for blankets, you can send in blankets that are completely inappropriate for the actual environment themselves.
Oh, okay.
Just cultural sensitivities as well as environment, geographical and physical sensitivities on the island. So we are really trying to encourage, and even things like colours. Colours can be associated. A red blanket can be associated with a certain political party, for example. There's a lot of sensitivities and a lot of detail that needs to go into what gets sent. So, I mean, again, my experience is more with the Red Cross, but it was all catalogued as to what would be sent, and it all had to be appropriate for the country. And a lot of research would be done beforehand to make sure that was the case. So again, at this stage, because we really want to make sure that we're responding to the need of the country and what they're asking for, we do really, encourage people to give cash donations to a charity or an organisation they feel really comfortable with giving to. They've done their research. They know the money goes to the right people on the ground. There's not massive overheads and so forth. That's what we'd really strongly encourage at this stage.
Okay. And further on down the line, although we're not there yet, once we get past the point of doing cash, where they're in need of more physical supplies, generators, medicines, more whatever it might be, where can people find information on what they need so they know what they can donate to the Red Cross here to have?
Well, again, I mean, the Red Cross are just doing a cash.
Just cash.
They will not be opening any in-kind donations because, again, the cost of transporting from Cayman to Bahamas is significant. If that can be procured from the cash on the ground near Nassau, for example, it's much better for the economy and also for the costs of transporting. And again, needs change so dramatically overnight in this kind of environment that what might be asked for, I guess, whatever it might be is being asked for, tomorrow might not be relevant. So I know from the BVI experience, because we had delays in our transport of items, and this was for the Red Cross, obviously the markets have opened up at this stage. So a lot of the times, if they are delayed, the items arrive and they're not necessarily the biggest priority at that stage. It's more the local markets. Everything can be done through the local markets, assuming they're up and running.
We did have a question come in off air just now. And an awkward question, but a fair one, given the state of disaster response. With regards to money that's actually going to whether it be the Red Cross or whichever donation agency, are you able to offer any kind of shed any light on how much of those funds make it onto the ground versus go towards overhead costs or whatever it might be?
Okay, I can speak probably for Rotary, well, in particular Red Cross, because I'm a Red Cross. My background was Red Cross. Every penny donated here at the Cayman Islands Red Cross will go through the Federation, the International Federation of the Red Cross. So I know Caroline's been on speaking different radio programs, and she's probably one to get the full big picture. But at the same time, there's no admin costs here in Cayman. That's what they do. The Red Cross are doing it as their part to give back to Bahamas. So both the resources but also the manpower right now here. The Cayman Islands Red Cross will not see that money. The Federation won't see that money, but they're just there for transparency and accountability. So the Bahamian Red Cross will see all that money.
100% will go to the Bahamian Red Cross.
Through the British Red Cross, because obviously the Cayman Islands Red Cross fall under the British Red Cross. Again, Rotary International, they have the Rotary set up, and again, there's no... Well, I can speak more 100% for Red Cross, saying the money all goes to Bahamian Red Cross.
That's great. I think people are a little more reassured because we hear this stuff about it.
You hear horror stories.
It's unfortunate.
And again, I don't want to poo-poo the American Red Cross, but I know there was a lot of bad press, in regards to high salaries. Now, I mean, I worked with the Red Cross for a million years, and I certainly hadn't seen a high salary in my time there. So American Red Cross, they have slightly different... I guess salary structures than we do in the British Red Cross and Federation and Cayman Islands Red Cross.
And there was, unfortunately, there was reports of questionable counting and measurements of how they were allocating resources, and unfortunately the percentage that was allocated for overhead and misleading statements. So unfortunate that some did get a bad label, but we can be rest assured that if you are donating to the Red Cross here, that 100% of those funds will make its way to the ground.
100%, hand on heart, that's exactly what happens.
That's fantastic. Alrighty, on that note, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up this conversation on the disaster relief and find out what we're doing here in Cayman in the hopeful never event that we see that happen here. Be back with more talk today, right after this.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Did you know that once properly sanitized, some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after coming in contact with floodwater? In order to properly sanitize these tins, always remove labels and then wash tins in a strong detergent solution using a brush to get rid of excess impurities. Tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air-dried before opening. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit the DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
Don't forget the early registration for Radio Cayman's Breeze Fusion 5K Walk Run and 10K Run is September 30th. Register by September 30th and enter to win a Cayman Airways voucher. Early registration is only $15, and this year's event will benefit the NCVO and the Central Scranton Park. Walk with pride, run with passion, and join your number one station, Radio Cayman.
But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
Police system, or do they bring Welcome back to Talk Today. I apologize for listeners. In case you're just tuning in, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. We have in studio members of the Hazard Management, Ms. Danielle Coleman and Mr. Simon Boxall. And we've been discussing the relief efforts for the Bahamas and how our community and any community can best assist them with their efforts. Danielle, Simon, if you could walk us through Cayman's preparedness with regards to disaster planning and what would happen in the hopeful never event that it does, knock on wood, for those at home.
It's going to happen.
It's
just
inevitable, unfortunately. But so I guess if there's a system out there say, at this time of year, we're still looking off the coast of Africa for the Cape Verde systems. We'll probably see it tracking across the Atlantic. Hazard management, the Met Office, Cayman Islands National Weather Service will start to pay more attention and monitor. As we see a wave or a depression forming. And then there are these various sort of watch arcs based on the forward speed, the direction, and the proximity to us that we sort of really start to ramp up attention and start getting public information out. And, at a certain point we'll start having council meetings of the National Hazard Management Council. And then 72 hours out, you might see the alert issued. 48 hours, the watch, and then 36, the warning. So we would, we're paying close attention, obviously, at this time of the year, but enormous amounts of work has gone in kind of behind the scenes in terms of working with our stakeholders, working on the plans. We have a hurricane plan, we have a main plan, a number of other plans. We exercise, we work with the first response agencies to train in things like mass casualty management. We're doing incident command systems training right now. We go out to the schools and do preparedness. Every single government agency has to file annually what's called a COOP plan, basically setting out how they're going to restore their critical functions as quickly as possible after an impact.
It's continuity of operations.
No, of course, absolutely, yes.
And so, and then, there are these 17 different support teams under the NEOC structure, and they've been meeting and refining their plans. And so one of them, for instance, is debris clearance. That's a huge problem that they're facing right now in Bahamas. They're probably looking at accumulated debris of probably 2 years landing on their doorstep within a 48-hour period. How are you going to deal with the debris? Well, we've got a support team specifically tasked with that. We've got people looking at shelters. We have shelter management training each year. So all these different, the relief emergency support teams, another area, they are looking at the procedures, the plans, how are we going to deal with the logistics. And, a lot of these, it's a big issue for us right now, even looking at from Dorian's perspective, and we try to incorporate lessons learned each year from everything, things that Danny went through in BVI and that they went through there. Our experiences with things like the Sol fire and
the which fire?
The Sol fire at the main wholesale petroleum tanks on Jackson Point.
Sorry.
We learn things about, if we're having to evacuate communities, if we have to get messages out to the public quickly, we change, we adapt. We're putting in this emergency notification system.
Of course, yes.
We're always trying to improve our mechanisms and ensure that.
Just to add to that, again, I think, we always trying to learn from other people's experiences. So there will be lessons coming out from Dorian. From the EMER experience, we have introduced what we call Crisis Hub, which is a missing persons tool. It's actually owned by the FCO, but Foreign Commonwealth Office. But it's a great mapping tool. So if by chance, there are a lot of people missing after a disaster, we can map them, we can ensure our response is coordinated, and again, that we go out to the right places. We have good details on them.
That's Crisis Hub.
Crisis Hub, yeah. We've been practicing. We're doing quite a few drills over that, especially one we did recently with Jamaica and London and the Governor's Office. As Simon mentioned, the National Emergency Notification System we've been testing this week, and that's really more for sudden onset events. So say, for example, tsunami or whatever it might be, a fire, and that's a radio interrupt. Now, there's other phases to come, but we have been rolling that out this week. And, there's more things that we need to tweak, but we're really trying to make sure that we're ready for any eventuality, not just a hurricane. And just to add to Simon's, alert, watch, warning phase, at the latest season storms in October, we don't often have that lead time. So again, the public shouldn't be waiting to hear the 72-hour alert, because we may not have 72 hours if a storm develops very close to us. So just to be ready at all times of the season and out of the season for other eventualities is a really important thing that we'd really encourage people in the Cayman Islands to do to make sure they're ready.
And I will say, I think Dorian, Bahamas, again, feel so much sympathy, and it's tragic what's happened there. But again, we're even more low-lying than parts of Grand Bahama and Abaco. And we've seen, I think the numbers are up above 20 people lost their lives so far, and that number may grow. People need to make sure that they get elevated. It's been a long time since we've been really impacted here in Grand Cayman. When was the last time you actually checked if your shutters, that you've got the clips, that they actually work, that you can you do it on your own, or are you going to need help? Have you got somebody ready to help you? Where are you going to put your car so you don't lose your car when the storm surge comes up? Have you trimmed back the trees that might you reduce the surface area of the tree that could possibly be the thing that takes down the wires or takes out your roof? You need to be looking at these things now, and as Danny says, it gets even more critical as we enter the next couple of months, that October-November phase, where we can see them form really right on top of us and not give you the lead time. And
it's not the category. I mean, a category 5, everyone's like, actually, you need to consider the storm surge as well, because it could be a lower storm category of wind. Again, the category is just the wind speed.
Of course,
the storm surge itself can be the biggest hazard really in all of this. So you've seen videos of Dorian of people being swept away from the storm surge, and that's inland as well. So you've got to really consider what your risks are in your house, how high above sea level it is, and what you plan to do, and a good plan with the family as a whole, with the kids, because the last thing we want to see is the kids, when we do have an alert watch warning, parents are obviously behaving quite erratically.
Of course.
The kids should be part and should understand what's going on, because psychologically it's deemed much better for them to be part of the process from the outside through the blue sky planning, as opposed to just when we get faced with the activation.
And it's not government just preparing. It's just the entire country needs to do it a little bit at a time. Have some food, have some water set aside, and have a plan. Know where you're going to go and shelter, and really, if you haven't got to it now, you need to probably take a bit of time and think it through, because it's a life or death situation for people. And we unfortunately, as Danny was saying, I think some people judge everything on the category and can't see the possibility that we might have a 10, 15-foot surge with a category 2 or a 3. And they also hang on to their previous experience. They anchor onto what they went through in Ivan, and they can't see the possibility of what just happened in Bahamas, like a 20-foot, 23-foot surge. So they're judging their experience on the 8 to 10-foot surge we saw in Ivan, and they can't conceive that it could be any worse than what they went through, but it can be. So we need them to pay, really close attention to news organizations like yourself, Radio Cayman, and listen to the local people, like the local Met Office here. When we do see something coming, you really got to tune in and pay close attention, because you're not going to get those storm surge products and information really coming from overseas. You're more likely to get the information here from the government.
This was a truly depressing talk. Thank you, guys.
It's not.
No, I know. I mean that.
Like,
no, absolutely not. I mean,
we talk about this all day, every day.
We do, and it's a wake-up call. I think of what we just saw happen in the Bahamas.
Definitely.
Not that it's better to see the wake-up call happen to somebody else, but that was a reminder that everyone can learn from that experience. And as you mentioned, the 23-foot storm surge being. That's what we're seeing from the Bahamas. It's not uncalled for it to happen here.
And sitting over your head for a day and a half.
Sitting over your head for a day and a half, moving at a mile an hour.
That's crazy.
It's absolutely insane. You can imagine the nightmare they went through. We are almost out of time, but if you quickly remind our listeners, where can they find information on preparedness and planning for a hurricane and how to donate?
Okay, so from a preparedness planning standpoint, again, our website is always full of information. We have a really good leaflet, a pamphlet, leaflet, booklet on hurricane planning, and again, there's other eventualities. We have leaflets on tsunamis and everything else. So that's on our website.
Prepared.ky, that is.
Yeah, and we have Facebook, we have Twitter. Again, call us if you don't want to have Facebook or Twitter, or you don't have the internet, then give us a call. We're always here to help.
What is
you
that
plan.
number? They can reach out.
945-4624. 945-4624. Or just come by the government building. We've actually got some of our Hurricane brochures
Okay,
up there
right
now.
there.
Actually, yeah, in reception downstairs.
And we can come to you. You know, if you've got a business, you're concerned about your welfare of your employees, your recovery plans and stuff. You know, invite us along. We'll come and do a presentation. You know,
and we can tailor it to your needs as well.
We're getting some requests at the moment, like some of the private schools, and we rolled it out every year at the government schools, and government agencies, private companies, churches. You know,
if you want a CERT team in your community, give us a shout, and we can definitely work with your community emergency response team.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, there's a 32-hour training, and it involves fire safety and search and rescue and first aid. So we're really trying to. It's all free, so we're
going
very,
to
very
Little Cayman later on in the year. So we're excited for that because it's kind of a vulnerability and a gap.
Very much so, yes.
And just having that, you know, really the local knowledge as well. Those community emergency response teams, they know their communities better than other people.
Absolutely.
And they can be very useful too in the aftermath of an impact because you can direct that relief aid and stuff through them. They know the people that are in most need.
In regards to donations, again, Red Cross, I know they have an appeal, and again, 100% proceeds go to the actual response as opposed to admin costs. I believe Rotary have an appeal going on. Okay. Just whatever you decide, make sure it fits well with you. Make sure you've done your research. If you're giving money, which again I think is a very good idea at this stage, make sure you've done your homework and don't be giving money to a pop-up internet charity you've never heard of before, because again, chances are the money will not see the people in the ground in the Bahamas.
That's great. Danielle, Simon, thank you so much for this. Again, listeners, if you have any questions about preparing yourselves, caymanprepared.ky. Or you can give them a call at 945-4624. Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick commercial break, go to our headline news, and when we come back, we'll be meeting with UCCI on their new trade school programs. Be back with more talk today right after this.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
Crews spent Wednesday night at the landfill working to put out a fire burning below the surface. While no flames were seen, smoke was spotted later that evening, and fire crews were recalled to the landfill at about 5:30 p.m. Using thermal imaging cameras, they found a, quote, deep-seated pocket fire located close to the small surface fire extinguished earlier in the day. CIFS and DEH crews worked throughout the night to excavate and douse the area in order to contain the fire. In news elsewhere, Hurricane Dorian raked the Carolina coast with howling, window-rattling winds and sideways rain Thursday, spinning off tornadoes and knocking out power to more than 2,000 homes and businesses as it pushed northward toward the dangerously exposed Outer Banks. Leaving at least 20 people dead in its wake in the devastated Bahamas, Dorian swept past Florida on Wednesday at a relatively safe distance, grazed Georgia overnight, and then began hugging the South Carolina coastline with more serious effects. The storm strengthened briefly to a Category 3 hurricane, then dropped back to a Category 2 with winds of 110 miles per hour, still a threat to hundreds of miles of coastline. The Education Department is fining Michigan State University $4.5 million for failing to respond to sexual assault complaints against Dr. Larry Nassar. That announcement comes from the Education Secretary, who says the university's failure to act created a sexually hostile environment. The Education Secretary adds the school also has agreed to take corrective action to protect its students. Nassar is a former sports doctor at Michigan State who also worked at USA Gymnastics. He's serving effective life sentences for possessing child pornography and molesting young athletes. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Cayman, get ready for this year's 2019 Fidelity Fun Run Series. Join us opposite John Gray High School for the first 3 Saturdays in September at 7:30 a.m. for an exciting 2-mile run. Whether you're a serious competitor looking for a fun family activity or you want to take an early stroll, the Fidelity Fun Run Series is the event for you. Strollers and pets are welcome, and we've got trophies up for grabs as well. Register today for the races on September 7th, 14th, and 21st. And get your Fun Run t-shirt. To register, visit CaymanActive.com for more information.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Meet the world with Puritan professional launderers and dry cleaners. Call 949-7104 for opening hours at Puritan's Countryside Savannah, Elgin Avenue besides Off the Peg, and 337 Eastern Avenue. Drive through, rain or shine. Ask about Puritan's ongoing discounts plus free pickup and delivery. Call 949-7104. Puritan's 949-7104.
Support our port, support our tourism.
The new pier design achieves our government's mandate to minimize the impact on the environment. There will be no dredging in Hogstye Bay. This is a win for Cayman. Support our port, support our tourism.
Looking forward, looking bright. Support our port, support our tourism.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecasts, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advance notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in for our show, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And we just had in studio members of the hazard management team, Miss Danielle and Mr. Simon. And some very important points they were referencing. And we do hope you're all tuning in. If you were tuning in, that you share that message with your families and your friends, colleagues. If for those of the community that are looking to donate to the relief efforts in the Bahamas, one of the big concerns with previous relief efforts around the region has been the donation of goods and goods, which, while well-meaning and well-intentioned, can create more havoc on the ground during or post disasters like the hurricane we've seen in the Bahamas. As for those who are looking to donate they are looking for funds to be donated directly to the Red Cross, and they have assured that 100% of those funds that have been donated will find its way onto the ground in the Bahamas via the British Red Cross and their mechanisms. And as well, we do want to give a big shout out as well to our sponsors, Savannah Pharmacy and Countryside Shopping Village, and to Fidelity Bank. Now in studio, we have UCCI here to talk about their trade school projects, the technical vocational career programs offered by UCCI. We have a few more of their staff on the way, but in studio we have Mr. Finsley, Senior Lecturer at UCCI. Good afternoon, Mr. Finsley.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming in. No, it's great to have teachers. I like when I see teachers coming in, especially without their students, because you can tell us all the bad stuff about how hard it is to be a teacher and the parents, and just give it all. And then students come into the studio. we'll ask them the same questions about how bad their teachers are.
It's good to talk about that, but unfortunately, or
not on the radio.
Not on the radio, not today.
Well, fair enough. Well, tell us a bit about yourself, Finsley.
My name is Fensley Smith. I hail from Jamaica. I've been here for 12 years now, teaching at UCCI on the TVET programs. My background is in engineering. I'm an electrical engineer by profession, and also I have qualification in management. But to add to that, I'm also a licensed electrician.
Okay.
So I in teaching, I bring to the classroom not just the academic knowledge, but I also bring many years' experience. I've been working in the electrical field for a number of years.
That's great.
And I take that experience to the classroom.
That's great. To be able to offer that practical experience along with the academic instruction is so powerful. We always hear the old adage, those who can't do, teach. But in your case, you can do and you can teach.
I can do and I do teach. And I want to add to that as teachers, we do a lot. We let students sit up in classroom and learn when they won't even listen to their parents.
That is the absolute truth.
We let students look at the sea and celebrate as if they have just won the lottery.
That's well said. Very well said.
We have students that comes into our classroom and they will come there feeling down, and at the end of the day, we take them to the top of the world. So we can do. And we do a lot of things in the classroom.
Absolutely. So your educational background is in electrical engineering, along with how long were you actually in the field working as an electrician?
No, I have to give away my
You might have to give away some details here.
I have to give away my age now.
Yes.
Actually, I have been in the industry for over 25 years.
Oh wow! As an electrician.
As I've worked at different stages. I started out as an apprentice electrician, worked my way up until I honed the skills to become an electrician. I got a little bit bored, so I went back to school. I studied engineering, and after studying engineering, I went back to work as an engineer. Okay. After which I started lecturing in the field of electrical in Jamaica until I came over here to Cayman. Started working at UCCI. Okay. And I've actually been lecturing in the field for over 16 years now. So it's been a while since I've been...
You've been lecturing for 16 years. So you were teaching for 4 years previous to coming to Cayman?
Previous to coming to Cayman.
Where were you teaching?
In Jamaica, I taught at Heart Trust NTA, which is the institution that is responsible for all the TVET programs in Jamaica.
Okay.
And I taught at National Tools and Engineering Institute, which is the engineering arm of Heart Trust, where we have a number of students that passes through that institution. And to add to that, at the time we managed some programs and courses for the University of Technology. So I was teaching those students along with the ones that came to us at National Tools and Engineering Institute.
That's great. Thank you so much for that, Finsley. Sorry, appreciate that. And now we have in the studio Mr. Wayne Jackson. How are you today?
I am doing wonderfully well. It's so good to be here again to share these wonderful things that are happening at UCCI.
That's great. You know, I was reading through some of the information that's on offer, and if I get your title correct here, you're the associate professor, director of the School of Hospitalities, and the interim director of TVET and continuing education.
That's correct.
So you're like juggling about 5 different hats right now.
Yeah, that's pretty much summarizes it perfectly.
Summarizes it.
Yes.
Well, tell us a bit about yourself, Wayne, if you don't mind, and your professional background, educational background, and I think you want to tell us about yourself before we get into the meat of the programs.
Well, my journey started off by actually I'm a trained mechanical engineer, and I was working at a manufacturing company, and I went to open a hotel, and that was the Crown Plaza Hotel in Montego Bay, Jamaica. And after I did that, I was kept on as the maintenance person there, and supervised that for a little bit, and then got into the food and beverage aspect, just helping out a little bit, because that's what I did when I was going to school to help fund my education. And so I was able to assist in that respect.
Okay.
And then the GM there really saw my abilities and took me on his wing, and he took me with him when he went away. And I went with him to Germany, opened a hotel there, and then I came back to the U.S. and opened 2 properties there as well, and decided to stay in Cleveland for a little bit. And my son said to me, "I don't see you much, Dad. When I go to school, you are asleep, and when I'm home, you're not there." And I felt bad, because when I go to work, I'm there from 11 until 11 p.m.
Of course.
And that took me on a path into education, and because I thought I need to find a way that would give me more time to spend with my kids. And it has been very rewarding in that now I'm able to be a part of building programs and to direct the path of young people who just need to find their way and to be successful in whatever they choose to do. So I am twofold qualified in that respect. And so now we are in the process now. Worked for a couple of years, a couple of schools, built several programs, and I was invited to come to Cayman to establish our hospitality school, get that started in 2014, and that has gone very well. We've covered over 100 students going through that program so far, and we have offered several qualifications from food and beverage through to front office operations. We now offer things that support services such as maintenance and so on.
Of course.
And that model was designed by having an advisory council in place. And so we've decided to extend that model design for programs at UCC and the vocational aspect. So all of our programs, the TVET programs, will have an advisory council in place that will guide the program design, the requirements for their respective industry, and in so doing as well, guaranteed placements for the students upon completion. So it's a very unique model, and it has worked for hospitality, and we're just spreading that same design across to the electrical, the air conditioning, the plumbing, the fashion design,
of course,
the automotive repairs, and those areas that we're rolling out as an initial TVET qualifications of vocational areas as well.
That's great. I want to hear more about those programs in just a minute. But on a personal note, what did you think of working in Germany to Cleveland and then to Cayman? How did you find the
beer in Germany was fun. Going there as a young man, I mean, it was a good experience, and Europe as a whole. But it has been really, really a wonderful time for me, and I think that has set my work ethic, my discipline, being able to work with different cultures into play as well. And I think that we have really, really, that set a good foundation for me as well. And coming back to Cleveland, that's another different community, different world all by itself, because I was in Texas before. And I think all that traveling around the Caribbean, in the U.S., and coming back to the Caribbean again, and going to Europe and coming back again, has made me a more rounded person.
Wayne, thank you so much for that. It's great to have that little bit of insight there, especially as an educator yourself. On that note, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll be meeting more of our esteemed guests here from the TVET programs at UCCI. Yes. We'll be back with more talk today, right after this.
The Breeze Fusion is back Saturday, November 2nd.
Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run and a 10K run for half marathon trainers. Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCVO. Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studios. Registration is only $15 if registered by September 30th. And all early registrants enter to win a Cayman Airways voucher. The Breeze Fusion 5K 10K walk run. Saturday, November 2nd.
CUC advises motorists using Fountain Road in West Bay to exercise extreme caution between Thursday, September 5th and Friday, September 20th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. CUC's crews will be installing new poles and line hardware on Fountain Road between the junction with Hell Road and the junction with Finch Drive and Bosun Bay Road. Customers' electricity service will not be affected. CUC will have a number of vehicles and personnel in the area and will be required to temporarily block one lane on several sections of Fountain Road. CUC thanks motorists and the public for their cooperation. For more information, contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium.
For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Work will soon launch Jobs Cayman, an online system that allows registered users to access job postings created by registered employers. This system offers a better approach to facilitate Caymanians in finding employment and allows employers to search for qualified and skilled Caymanians who are seeking employment. For more information on the registration process and what you need to register, visit www.worc.ky. Work, leading the pursuit of full Caymanian employment and economic prosperity for all through service excellence.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in for our show, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Mr. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And we have in studio faculty from the UCCI Technical Vocational Career Program. And as always, we do welcome you, our listeners, to join the conversation. Just give us a call at 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037 if you have any questions about the Technical Vocational Career Programs offered by UCCI or for any of our instructors here. We'll be turning the spotlight on to one of our next instructors, Earl Walcott. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you're correct.
Oh, great. The plumbing instructor with the TVET. Do I sing it? TVET?
TVET.
TVET.
Technical
A lot of
Vocational
acronyms here.
Training.
Yes, the TVET programs.
That capsulizes it very much for us.
That's great. Thank you so much. So, Earl, tell us a bit about yourself. Give us a bit of background, your professional teaching history.
Well, I have been a TVET instructor for over 25 years.
Wow.
Yes, I have worked in Jamaica, where I'm from, really. As an instructor for over 25 years, I taught with our national training agency, the Heart Trust NTA. So I have been involved in vocational training for over 25 years.
Did you work in the field yourself before getting into training?
Yes, I have been doing plumbing for over 40 years, and a part of that is also running my own business as a plumbing entrepreneur for some of those years too.
Oh, that's great. So 25 years as a teacher, you've seen a lot come through. You've seen kids become grown men.
I have seen kids become grown men, and I've seen a number of my persons that I've trained developed into entrepreneurs, business people, and professional plumbers themselves.
It must be a very rewarding feeling to actually see literally the fruits of your labor come through into another human being.
Yes, to be able to contribute to the life and development of any individual, it is a rewarding and fulfilling feeling.
That's great. And how long have you been at UCCI with the TVET programs?
Well, I'm new.
You're new. Fair enough.
Yes, I'm new.
So this year is your first year within the...
Well, I have assisted as an adjunct instructor. I've been doing this for about 1 year.
Okay. And coming directly from Jamaica to here? Or was there anywhere else in between?
I have been working in industry here since 2008.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for that.
You're most welcome.
Next up on the chopping board here, he's getting ready for his big moment in the spotlight. We have Lawton Lewis. He is the AC instructor at the TVET programs.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show.
Sir, and good afternoon to the listeners.
Thank you. So, Lawton.
Lawton, yes, you got it right.
Okay, I just want to make sure the guys were give you different names to call you earlier. If you don't mind, tell us a bit about yourself, your background, how long you've been involved in the industry.
Well, I probably didn't spend some time to do the calculation like my dear colleague here, but it has definitely been some time. I have been involved in it for definitely over 10 years.
Okay. As an instructor or as a tradesman?
Both.
Okay.
I might not have enough as my colleague here. Our age difference is different as well, so I'm trying to catch him up.
That was a very passive-aggressive insult I've ever heard. That was the best passive-aggressive insult I've heard yet.
It's a compliment. It's golden. But yeah, I've been in the field in terms of an entrepreneur as well, working also with other companies and teaching in Jamaica, taught in Turks and Caicos Island.
You did?
And now here in the Grand Cayman Islands.
How long ago were you in Turks and Caicos?
Probably about 5 years ago, yeah.
And how long have you been teaching here in Cayman?
In the Cayman Islands, just over a year now.
Just over a year. And comparatively, if you were to compare your experience in Turks and Caicos to what you're experiencing for the past year in Cayman, any comparisons? What do you...
I see both islands quite similar.
Okay.
Both are rapidly developing and stuff. So I see both islands similar. I see the need for TVET in both islands as well as something that needs to be tapped into now.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And so I also see persons understanding that as well, because you see persons becoming interested in doing these kind of courses and stuff, as opposed to once upon a time when these courses were not really, looked upon as something that you would want to go towards. It once upon a time was like a last resort. But in today's day and age, in the developing age, you realize that these skill sets are what are needed, for development to flow.
It's a very interesting point you just made. Actually segues into my next question would have been, but on that point, you're absolutely right. Once upon a time, not too long ago, only 10, 15 years ago, the trade school industry was viewed very much, like you said, as the last resort. Those that couldn't do well in school, whatever you might want to choose. It was either you go to the army for some jurisdictions, or you go into trade school was the other route, or you go to prison. That was really, back in the day, the stigmatized view of trade schools. And it's great to see that within the past 10, 15 years, that stigma has been, whether subtly or aggressively, lifted off, and we're seeing an advancement in trade school operations.
I mean, even when I was going to school, I didn't have any thoughts of doing this because it was not promoted. It wasn't something that was promoted while I was going to school.
Of course.
It is when I left school and recognized for myself what the world really entails and what development entails and, what is the best line. Because, while being educated in general, it's a wonderful thing. Any field, any facet you're going into,
of course,
it's good. But even if somebody decides to study business, I would even advise this person to study one of these, skill set, because this is a skill set that causes you to have even some more independence. It causes you to have independence and flexibility wherever you go.
No, you raised some great points. You've actually answered all my questions just in that one little 2 minutes segue. But because my next question is actually what I feel is a very important one for our listeners and for anyone out there who's either considering the trade school, the TVET route, or has children who are considering the TVET route. And I'd like to know from your each individual experience, and I'll start with you, Lawton, as well, and reverse back around, is how did you get started? What was the driving force for you to actually take the step to take on a TVET program?
In terms of learning or teaching?
Yeah.
Learning.
Learning first, yeah.
All right, so I'll tell you how it came to me first. After leaving school, starting to work, I don't know. I just started seeing that, the gratitude, I could have imagined the gratitude of somebody seeing something that is nothing, and then with your hands and skill, it would have brought it into being something, like an empty plot of land. And then before you know it, there's a nice, wonderful building going up. And for this building to go up, it would require each and every one of us that's sitting here
very well said.
At this table.
Not just to build it, to maintain it.
Right, to build and to maintain it.
It's a job for life.
Right, precisely. So, that was the first thing that started grabbing my attention. And so I went on to studying and drafting and building technology.
Okay.
And from there, I went into teaching. So I started teaching. And so while teaching technical drawing and mathematics, that kind of took up my day-to-day timing.
Okay.
And then while teaching, the principal came to us with a suggestion that they wanted to do air conditioning in the school because it was fairly new then. And so he came to me with it because he knew that whatever you put on my table, I would grab it and run with it and allow it to work. So he brought it to me, and then from there it developed, and we combined with Heart Trust. And Heart Trust came in, did the training, and we became trained, certified, and then we started the program in the school. And then from there, graduates started graduating. You started to see the fruits of the labor. And from there, it just developed into where I am right now, and I'm happy.
Well, thank you for that.
I want to add, though, before you say thank you, in learning that, I volunteered while working as a teacher. I volunteered free to work with an air conditioning company just so that I could learn, not just theoretically, but the practical. So I was going out there sweating and working hard, but it was a good thing. And because of that, I was even more grounded in the field and in the skill set than just having the theory and practicals that I would have been doing, as a learner. So
it's a
that was great.
Very interesting perspective to actually understand the, because there's a lot of benefits you receive from that.
Indeed.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Earl, if I can ask you the same question, how did you get started into the plumbing side? Or what was motivation to get you to go to TVET school for plumbing?
Well, if I may say, I did not really choose plumbing, but plumbing chose me.
Very poetic.
Yes. When I graduated from high school, I wanted to have continued my education at a local institution. But those educational ambitions were sacrificed for my younger sister, who had just passed the common entrance. And coming from a family of challenges, really, the background and all of that, they were told to send me on to further studies wasn't really there. So I had no recourse but to pursue a path of vocational education. And of course, my brother before me, he was a plumber. And when he came around, this guy was quite slick. He wore the most expensive clothing, that sort of a thing. He spent lavishly. So it tells me then, it was a motivator that money can be made.
That's the answer I was looking for. Right. That's the answer right there.
That money can be made from this skill. And hence, of course, I followed in his footsteps and pursued that path. That's why I got
plumbing
into
really did choose you.
Sir?
Plumbing really did choose you in that case, yeah.
Well, yes.
Thank you for that. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to have the same questions for Finley and Wayne yourselves to hear how you actually got into this. Because that's great. I want our listeners to be motivated by this conversation. I'll be back with more talk today right after this.
RC Fusion featuring Billboard's pop hit songs and more from the 70s to the 90s.
RC Fusion.
Weekdays from 10 a.m. till 12. RC Fusion.
RC Fusion is proudly sponsored by Purple Dragon, building the strong leaders of tomorrow.
Cool.
Call 946-1241 or email purple@cnw.ky.
Come on, get ready for this year's 2019 Fidelity Fun Run Series. Join us opposite John Gray High School for the first 3 Saturdays in September at 7:30 a.m. for an exciting 2-mile run. Whether you're a serious competitor looking for a fun family activity or you want to take an early stroll, the Fidelity Fun Run Series is the event for you. Strollers and pets are welcome, and we've got trophies up for grabs as well. Register today for the races on September 7th, 14th, and 21st. And get your Fun Run t-shirt. To register, visit CaymanActive.com for more information.
There are plenty of reasons to be a Logic customer. There's lightning-fast internet connectivity. There's the great overall customer experience. And now, you can improve your Wi-Fi connectivity with Logic Boost Wi-Fi for free. With Boost, you can extend your freedom to stream, game, and download seamlessly anywhere in your home, like your patio or your underground lair if you have one. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
Today, millions of people all across America are building a life in recovery from addiction and mental illness, helping themselves
and helping each other, with friends, family, and community lending their strength and support.
Join the Voices for Recovery.
Together, we are stronger.
Join the Voices for Recovery and attend one of our upcoming workshops to learn how you can support someone impacted by substance abuse. District workshops will be offered during the month of September in West Bay, Georgetown, and East End. For further information, contact the Department of Counseling Services at 949-8789.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in, I'm Raymond Singh filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and we have in studio for the faculty and director for the TVET programs at UCCI. And I'm going to turn the spotlight on to Mr. Finsley, the senior lecturer for the electrical department within the TVET programs. Mr. Finsley, before the break, we were talking to Earl and Lawton here in regards to their motivations for getting involved when they started in the industry, both in the AC and the plumbing fields. For yourself, what was your driving force to go into electrical or go into trade school programs? What was your motivation as a young man?
After completing high school, I had the hopes of going on to university, but at the time, the money was not there. I have two younger brothers and a younger sister that needed to finish high school, and there was just not enough money there for me to go on to university at the time, so I had to go and work. Now, when I started out working, the first trade I tried was tiling, and after 1 week, I could not walk straight. So the following week, the gentleman I was working with, he came to pick me up. My mom was already gone to work. And he was at the gate just blowing, and I locked the house up, and I wasn't going out. I was not having no more tiling. So
does your mom know the story?
My mom
eventually
found my mom know the story because the tiler called her, and he was not happy. So I tried glazing after that. That is putting in windows and doors and things like that. I was very good at that, but what happened? The company was overstaffed, and they had to let me go. And the manager for the company was so good that he put me onto this company that does electrical and mechanical. Okay. Actually, I was in Cayman at the time as a youngster. My mom lived here, and I started out at Mega Systems, and I did mechanical and electrical at the time. And I was a good helper to the guys working there. To the point where in the mornings the mechanical guys wanted me on their team and the electrical guys wanted me on their team. So one day they said, listen up, you have to choose one team and stick with it. And because the mechanical was so dirty and messy, I decided to stick with electrical at the time. So that is how I started out in the electrical field. And by then I was thinking of going on to university, maybe become a doctor or become some other professional, but just working in the field and getting into the electrical. By the time I was supposed to go to university, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to become an electrical engineer. So I went to the University of Technology, studied there for a while, and came back as a technician with just a diploma in electrical, and worked as a technician with quite a few contractors. And after working for a while, you get to the top of the game, and it's like, what is there next? I decided, you know what, I need to go back to school. So I went back, did an engineering degree. And when I finished my engineering degree, I could not find a job as an engineer. And that was when I was asked to teach on a TVET program. And I was not having it for a long while, but they kept knocking. And they called me, and if I could just come and talk to them there at National Tools. When I went there, they asked me, could you just stay on for 6 months? If you just give us 6 months. And 6 months turned into 3 years and 4 years, and I'm still no. I'm in education because I realized that education empowers people, and this is the drive that I have each day when I wake up and go to UCCI or any institution where I'm working as an educator. I realize that the education has the power to change people's life for the better. And yes, we don't make the top dollars like some other fields, But what we do get from teaching is that you see the students in the community, and they'll come up to you and they'll tell you, "Sir, you changed my life." And for me, that does it.
That's a very inspirational story there. That was fantastic. Thank you so much, Hensley. I appreciate that. Wayne, I'll turn the same question to you. What was your motivation to go into this?
Just to piggyback on what my colleague has said, that Nelson Mandela made a statement. He says, to change a nation, you just need to educate them. And so I think my journey was a little different from these guys here. And I think I'm quite privileged to be in this company because these are actually some champions in our field. And I didn't know that we were quite selective in choosing these persons at UCCI, but you can see the depth and the breadth that we went to identify these skilled persons to impart knowledge to students at our program.
I'll second that. There's a lot of depth there.
And I think my journey started with running away from being in education. And every chance I got, I tried to run away, and it just seemed to follow me like something that just bite me.
It shows you.
Yeah, I can say that again. But I'm actually a trained machinist, a pretty good one too.
Okay.
I could make anything out of metal. I could stay at that lathe and make a solid block of metal turn into something quite interesting, quite beautiful. And I left it because, again, it was quite messy. And I got into the person saw my ability, and I became the first maintenance planner at a company in Jamaica, a large manufacturing company. And I walked away from that to explore the possibility of opening hotels.
Okay.
And the idea of wearing a suit caught on to me then, because I would not be wearing an overall or walking with a hard hat every day and steel-toe shoe. And but what hit me was, after training people, I realized when they've gained mastery, I felt a different level of satisfaction. And so I've always inadvertently been transferring knowledge in that respect. And I've always seen as someone who's persons are usually sent to me for training, and I was always promoted in that capacity as a leader. And so it was only natural, and I think it hit me when my son said it to me when I mentioned earlier that why I don't spend time. And I said, you know what, you've always been just dabbling and donating your time. Why don't you do it so that you can get paid for it? So I went off to the University of Delaware, and my first college class had 106 students in it. And the joy came after I finished teaching that first class with 106 students. I was checking into a hotel in Philadelphia, and one of my students said, "Sir, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in so long." And my stay was complimentary. That student said to me later that it was through my intervention that they've gone on and earned a master's degree because of what I said at that point in time. And I've gone to numerous cities, numerous places, and seen my students. One of the first things I'm asking them is that, what are you doing now? What are you pursuing? And I think for us at UCCI, it is identifying those skilled persons to help to transfer our ethos in terms of developing young people, transferring knowledge, getting them from one stage to the next. And one of the things that we're looking to build at UCCI is a capacity where persons can also earn an academic qualification and leave with also a skilled vocation. In doing so, you're diversified. If something should happen with your day job, your hobby could get you some money coming into your bank account. And that has happened years upon years. Many persons in many vocations, they'll hit a wall when something happens in their day job, and it's their hobby, that air condition repair they can run to, the plumbing, the electrical that they can run to, and the automotive repairs and so on. And many times these bring in extra income in a household, or it becomes the mainstay. And one of the key things with vocational programs is we integrate in every single program that we offer the entrepreneurial aspect. So even if you're not employed, the idea of you owning your own business become a very, very viable and real option. And it doesn't take much capital, of course. Tools are a very major part of our industry, and investing in tools is going to always be important, but just the effort sometimes get you started. And once you get in, you know your way around. You can really make something of yourself and your life.
Right. So that integrated program between you mentioned that your degree programs and your vocational programs are being integrated together.
No, they're not integrated together, but you can do both at UCCI. So
I see.
the
Sorry,
vocational
right,
aspect gives you more practical hands-on experience that leads to immediate employment ability in any particular the vocations that we offer. The academic side of it now gears you towards leadership and management in that aspect. So if you happen to do both, you're going to be more rounded.
So this might be a question for the presidents to come and answer, but do you see a day coming when the academics are integrated all together with vocational?
It's happening already.
It's happening already.
It's happening already.
As
a matter of fact,
or as an elective level?
It's the students who some countries have decided that all high school students must pursue a vocational qualification, irrespective of whatever vocation you decide to pursue.
At the high school level.
At a high school level.
Are we going to see that at the collegiate level?
So at the high school level, most places they introduce the level 1 qualification, which is the entry level qualification for most vocations. That gives a foundation persons can build on post high school. They can go on to a level 2, level 3, and so on. It's not mandated, but a lot of schools do it in other regions. In Cayman, it's offered, but it's not mandatory. So in our high schools here, they do automotive repairs, they do electrical repairs as well, and so those allow students to really get an introduction to those fields.
Of course.
The sad thing is that in many respects, students are shown vocational aspect because they believe or perceive to not be intelligent enough to do the academic work. And in our field, and I'm sure the gentlemen who are here with me will attest to that, is that this is not necessarily an easy choice for you to make and an easy field either. It requires you to be able to multitask, to handle complex matters, to have high-level problem-solving ability as well. And we integrate that skill in our students coming up through the program as well. Because our programs in the TVET delivery is geared towards building competency. It means that you practice mastery doing a particular task. So if you're fixing a microphone, when you get it used, it's broken, but when you give it back to us, it should be repaired. Sure. And they would have said, okay, fine, you now solve the problem. The programs are designed in a way that we have inherent kinks in the problem-solving process. So you will get a point where you can't go further. Is when you come and say, I hit this point and I can't go further. The instructors will realize and say, oh, you're on the right path. Right? And so it
ready
is
for
that
the next level.
We inherently build that into the learning experience to excite the learner, to challenge the learner to go to the next level as well. And that's one of the unique things with our programs. And also one of the things that we looked at as well is a pricing model. At UCCI, the programs are priced at a level where persons can pay as little as $100 a month once they're going to payment plan to complete our programs. If you look at other programs elsewhere, here or internationally, you're looking at least $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, sometimes a lot more than that, depending on where you go and what program you decide to pursue. So you're getting a bargain, number one. You're getting high-quality, skilled persons who are practicing professionals, certified professionals in their respective vocations, transferring knowledge in you and working with you and supporting you. And one thing, again, at UCCI that we're doing that was quite novel, too, we're holding students' hand in terms of ensuring that they're on board, finding employment with the advisory board on board, too. Those persons are ensuring that our students are getting those learning opportunities and are supported when they're there as well. So Student Life does a good job with that, and we'll continue to work with our students. So once you get on board, come down to UCCI, come to the admissions hall, or give us a call, 623-0572, or send us an email at admissions@ucci.edu.ky, and we'd be more than happy to hold you on through the process. Classes start Monday, so you want to get that process in quickly, and spaces are limited. It's running out really, really quickly.
We'll come all the way back to that topic again in just a minute on the payment side and the enrollment side in just a minute. Let's get a quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to touch on what programs are actually being offered during the CVET program.
Definitely.
And touch a bit more on this, on eliminating and removing the stigma
that's
attached to some of the trade school programs. Back with more talk today, right after this.
Hurricane Ivan was a storm that changed the Cayman Islands. On Wednesday, the 11th of September, you're invited to join the Water Authority as it marks the 15th anniversary of Ivan. View the Authority's special exhibit highlighting the impact of the storm and the strides the Authority has made to become stronger and more resilient. Get important preparedness information to help keep you vigilant this hurricane season, all while enjoying lunch. Join the Water Authority in remembering Hurricane Ivan. It all happens on Wednesday, the 11th of September, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Water Authority office.
We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Sing your praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody, stand up and sing one more. Hallelujah, give your praise to the Lord. United in Jesus Christ. We are the soldiers of the land.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
There's a meeting up in heaven. Roll call. It's your name in the Lamb's Book of Life. Roll call, brother, sister. Roll call. If you don't stop shouting, if you don't stop dancing, we're going to put you out of our church.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Your song flowed through my lips. Your work moved through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind. Live in me.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in for our show, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And we have in studio faculty from the UCCI TVET programs, the Technical Vocational Career Programs, and a very refreshing conversation taking place here on the changes that we're seeing in vocational training and the emphasis that is being put on these initiatives. And so I'll put the mic spotlight back on Wayne Jackson, the director of the programs. Wayne, if you could walk us through, what are the programs that are available at UCCI?
We have air conditioning repair and refrigeration. We have plumbing. We have electrical installation. We have fashion design, and that's a new program that's being rolled out this semester. We have light motor vehicle or automotive repair that persons are going to be able to do this semester as well. And the cool thing with the automotive program is that eventually they're going to get their hands on a car which they can actually race. So that's quite exciting.
Because they hand in a car they can race.
Yeah, we have. Okay. They're going to have a car that needs work, that they're going to have to fix, do the mechanical and the electrical work on it. We're getting support in terms of tires and the car itself and the engine, but it needs work all around. So
I'm happy to donate my car to help work on for a few weeks.
I'll take it right now. I'll take it right today.
Or they can get it back within a week. I'm good.
But the idea is for them to really get that car ready and get ready for racing and to be able to compete. And kids are excited about that. We also have our culinary programs. We have programs where persons can then start getting into the culinary field as well. We have both the hot and the pastry side, the sweet side of things for persons to get into as well.
That's fantastic.
And in addition to that, we have what's called the computer programming, the Coding Academy.
Now, elaborate a bit on this one, because this is a very while the other industries that you've mentioned are historic industries, this one is for lack of a better term, the innovative one, the one that we're seeing blossoming.
And you'll see a lot of that coming out of UCCI. With the Coding Academy, you'll find that in traditional programming or computer degree programs, you have a lot of other things that you do that's not really aligned to you becoming a programmer. And over the years, the industry has sought to identify programmers, and they found that young people who are home typing and doing their own thing in their basement or in their rooms are better coders than those who come with a degree. So several companies have designed models that will get persons within a year or a year and a half into coding. So this program is out with a company called Code Fellows out of Seattle, the U.S., and it was brought to us through our partnership with Cayman Enterprise City. So CEC and UCCI has collaborated together to create Cayman Islands Code Academy, right, which is brand new. And this program is designed to get persons into coding and programming, and it has 4 different modules. The first module, first day, you make a website on that first day. If you're able to make that website on the first day, you are able to move on and pursue the coding program. That's where we begin to sift the students. It doesn't come with additional course that you have to do. So within a very short period of time, you're up to the speed of a programmer and actually being able to land jobs in large companies. And if you want to stay here or work from home. And the thing with coding, you can work virtually anywhere.
That is true.
Anywhere.
It's an interesting one.
Your expertise and your ability to work doesn't limit you just to being an office 9 to 5. You have no diversified your offering there as well.
One of the things about that particular leg of the programs that are on offer is, whether we like it or not, technology has advanced quite a bit in our time frame, and I know there's a lot of resistance to it, and a lot that are for it and all for and pushing this to grow. So that is one of the fields that I'm looking at, just from your list here, for our younger generation and the kids that are coming out of high school now and going into the workforce, or going into school for the workforce. That one particular field is one I imagine over the next decade or so we'll see blossom quite a bit.
Well, the electrical field is one of those. Well, construction as a whole, especially in the Caribbean, and I think with the hurricanes are passing through from time to time, we know that there's only a matter of time where right now persons have to go to the Bahamas to help rebuild there. Persons had to go to Grenada, UVI in the last year just to help them to get back up and running there as well. The trades will always be here. Right now, if the air conditioning stopped working in your house or right in this office, you get very uncomfortable. You seem to unable to be functioning properly for some reason.
No, that's true.
And there's nothing that will occupy your time but getting that fixed. Right? The same thing if you go home and flip that switch and there's no power, you have a real problem.
No, you're absolutely right.
And God forbid you go home and try to use the restroom and the bathroom stops working, then you really have an accident on your hands.
No,
so there's always going to be a need. As a matter of fact, there's a story I always share. There was a brain surgeon who had a plumbing issue at his house, and when it happened, he was quite concerned. So he called a plumber. The plumber said, "Before I come out to your house, you're gonna have to pay me $100, whether it's something I can fix or not." He was, "Okay, I'm desperate. Okay, come on out." And says, "When I get there, I'm gonna give you a fee in addition to the $100. So he got there. Within about 35 to 40 minutes, he was finished fixing the job. Gave the brain surgeon a bill, said, "This is going to be $450. So the guy was calculating in his head and said, "Look, you were only here for like maybe 15, 20 minutes, even though, you looked at it and then your work time was just 15 minutes. You make more than me." And the plumber said to him, "Yeah, I know. I used to be a brain surgeon too." The idea is the trades will always outstrip traditional education. Why? If someone has the wherewithal, the commitment and the professionalism, they can charge whatever rate they want to charge once they have gotten to the top and say, "I am the best." These gentlemen can attest to that. If you're a master in your trade, you can walk into any situation and because of your experience and your ability, you're quickly able to assess and you're done fixing it in 15 minutes. Mark you, I can machine things, but I haven't done so in about maybe 10, 12 years. So it's going to take me a longer time to get set up and get my machine and get the job done. But someone who's doing it every day, they look at it quickly and say, "I can do this in 20 minutes. And every day we're getting new tools and technology that help those jobs becomes easier. And the professional now has more diagnostic tools available at his disposal, and the work has become more efficient now. And so these things are incorporated. So the electrical, all of these trades I just mentioned before. And not only that, preventive maintenance, we don't look at it as a key area. But most of these hotels and shopping centers and commercial buildings have to be maintained. It needs to be painted ever so often. They need to repair the AC ever so often. They need to be serviced. They need to have plumbing repairs happening on a regular basis, routine basis. And routine maintenance is a part of a key maintenance strategy in any organization, especially one that is in continuous use. So even a preventive maintenance program takes students to dabble a bit through all the three disciplines that are here and more for them to get squared away as well. So we've aligned these programs based on what we saw as emerging fields coming up in our industry that persons can actually secure employment upon completion or attaining these qualifications. And it's not just for new, but also persons who are already working. They can also come and become certified. And and our electrical instructor will attest to the level of certification, what it means in terms of pay graduation.
Well, you lead me to a few more questions I had. And the first question was, As far as the level of experience someone needs to come through this course or go through any of these courses, can you come in as a fresh newbie and just say, you know what, I want to be an electrician, I have a thing for wires, I just want to do it?
Yes.
What kind of experience do you need coming into these courses?
Maybe the gentleman here can also share, but
please, yes.
Coming in is
coming into the field of electrical or even any one of the skills that are offered there at UCCI, you pretty much need just to have an interest. What happened? We have it's like a one-stop shop where people are assessed to see where they're at when they come in, and based on where they're at, that is where we can direct them as to where they need to start.
Yes.
Sometimes you have people working in the industry for years and they're at the top of their game. They might know they have the competency as to how to carry out the work. But a lot of time they don't have the certification.
Of course. And
sometimes they don't have the underpinning knowledge as well. We try to teach communication. How do you communicate properly? Conflict resolution, things like that, the soft skills. So after the assessment, we'll be able to point the individuals into the direction that they need to go. Now, what happens when a person start at UCCI? You find that people worry about, will they get a job after they leave, or what will happen having attained the skill. And that is why when we're designing courses, we go to industry to find out what the market needs. Yes. Once we find out what the market needs, and we normally engage the stakeholders. If we're putting together a course, we'll call the industry practitioners. We get government on board. We'll call people from other institutions, high schools, and people from various walks of life, and sit down and say, what do you need to see in this person after they've completed this certification at UCCI? And when we do that, what happens when this person leaves UCCI? There is a market out there that is waiting for them. Not only that there's a market, but they will be at the top of the game because we'll give them what industry needs. And just to give you a good example, for example, in the electrical field, a person in the electrical field might be out there working as a laborer. And once they come and get and do their studies and go and do their exam and get certified as a wireman, their salary will immediately double. Moving up to $16, $18 an hour, and having, working at that level, and have another 2 years under their belt, they can go back and now do the journeyman exam. Their salary move up to $23 to $30 an hour automatically. So, certification is very, very important in this world today. There's some jurisdiction where you can't even dig a trench without a certification. So we're saying to individuals who are out there listening, come on board, come and get certified. We'll walk you through it. It's a caring, loving environment that we facilitate there at UCCI.
Thank you so much for that. I have a lot more questions that have just been come up in my head, but I'll wait till after this commercial break. Let's go to our 2 p.m. headline news. We'll be back with more talk today right after this.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman. We've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Headline. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
In memory of John Bonwell McLean, the Cayman Islands government is hosting condolence books in which the people of the Cayman Islands may pay their respects to the late legislator and his family. The condolence books are available for interested members of the public to sign until Monday, September 9th, from 8:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. at the Government Administration Building, Legislative Assembly Building, and East End Post Office. In news elsewhere, Joe Johnson, the younger brother of Prime Minister Boris Johnson, is resigning as an MP and minister, saying he is torn between family loyalty and the national interest. The business minister and Tory MP for Orpington, South East London, cited an unresolvable tension in his role. Mr. Johnson voted Remain in the 2016 EU membership referendum, while his brother co-led the Leave campaign. Mr. Johnson's resignation follows the removal of the Tory whip from 21 MPs this week for supporting moves to prevent a no-deal Brexit. Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam said Thursday that the decision to withdraw an extradition bill that sparked months of demonstrations in the semi-autonomous Chinese territory was her government's own initiative to break the impasse and not Beijing's directive. Lam told a news director that China's central government understands, respects, and supports her government in the entire process. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. In case you're just tuning in, I'm Raymond Singh, filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. And we have in studio the faculty from the Technical Vocational Career Programs at UCCI, a very important topic. And as the gentlemen have alluded to before, one of the important areas of this conversation, which I think is extremely important to convey to listeners and parents and grandparents that are out there, is how important these programs are for person's future employability. And one of the things you guys have mentioned is that these fields are needed. It doesn't matter where you are in this world, you're going to need a plumber. You're going to need that electrician. You're going to need that, especially in this day and age. Lawton here, probably more than anybody else here, is Lawton who will need and his AC services. So no doubt, I mean, the valuable and very important skills that are brought to the table from the work that you were doing. But let's go back quickly to the actuality of the programs that are on offer at UCCI. Wayne, if we can direct the conversation back to you again, how long does it take from start to finish for students to actually attain their certification in these different disciplines?
Each discipline has a different requirements or a qualification, but typically we made a standard for persons with level 1 it take roughly about 9 months to earn that qualification. Level 2 a similar duration of time. Level 3 a little bit more than 9 months, and level 4 it's around about a year. So doing all the qualifications, you'll be able to get each year you'll be moving up in qualification, pretty much academic year that is. And that's 9 months.
What does that qualification upgrade mean as far as employability and compensation?
There are different levels. Now, level 1 says you would be an apprentice or entry-level employee. Level 2 means that you're now a more self-supervised, you can do more work on your own. Level 3 means that you're now moving into a more leadership capacity, supervision in that capacity, or you're more moving on to a mastery. And level 4 means that you're now at the top level of the profession.
And you're the master in your
Yeah,
mind.
you're considered to be a master. Then on each level you have different exams that you do. Like for example, electrical, you have the different levels that you do, and in level 4 you then need to have, in addition to not just doing the academic qualification or having the TVET qualification, you would also need years of experience to go along with that.
Okay.
Right?
You need experience actually in the workforce.
So you need experience in the workforce. So we don't advise students to do it continuously because we want you also to gain mastery at each level. So you do level 1, and while you're doing level 2, you should be working while studying. So you're building that capacity as well. And that's why our student life department is going to be working closely with students to ensure that they're placed. And also when they're placed, they can continue their educational development as well.
Place as far as an apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship and even jobs.
And even jobs.
Yes.
So are you doing work with the work agencies and any of the other agencies that now?
We're required to now. The law says that we have to make sure that all our students register with work, Department of WORC.
Yep.
Right? And that's being handled by Student Life. That's why they have to be integral in the process and manage all of that expectations.
There's a very strong benefit to that correlation there, whereas, and I'm not knocking the 4-year degree program in any way, shape, or form. It's a very important element to see people going through for the bachelor's and historical bachelor's, master's degrees. But those programs and those 4-year degrees don't necessarily offer you direct placement or...
No, not necessarily.
You're taking a big gamble.
Yeah, you do. And not only that, you end up spending a lot of money, especially if you go overseas to study. And as an international student, you're landing over $100,000 in debt if you go to a bachelor's degree program with any school, even if it's a state school. With the vocational trade, it gives you that immediate earning capacity. Even as an apprentice and you're studying at the same time and you're learning, a lot of people, when you go to shop, especially if you're going to buy fruits at the grocery store, you pick it up, you feel it, you touch it, you look at it, smell it, and you pick up the best one you like. That's what happens with the vocational trade. You're touching it, you're doing it. And as you go out into the field as well, you keep doing the same thing and you find your rhythm. And once you find your rhythm, you get into your own zone, and then all of a sudden you decide that, you just all of a sudden just take off as a rocket. You're moving all along in a very steady trajectory, but all of a sudden you just take off and go up. And I think this gentleman here kind of tested that. Something just happens. It just clicks.
It just clicks.
And all of a sudden you realize that, I'm good at this. I'm the man. And that's what we try to aspire to get those students to that point where it clicks. So everything at UCCI now, everything that we do is getting students to that click to get them ready.
Lawton, we haven't heard from you in a while here. You've had quite a bit to say at the start of the show with some very valuable points. What do you have to say to that?
I'm in full agreement with that. What I want to add to that, though,
please, yes,
is that you tend to find that students who come into TVET programs, they come into TVET programs with an expectation that TVET programs are really just about just coming to do some practical kind of work. Even though it is practical focused, there are some other soft skill that is necessary, that is taught,
such as
how you present yourself to a client in the workplace.
That's great.
And stuff like that. Research that has to be done, and presentations. So there are oral presentations that are to be done that sometimes when persons come and they realize that, hey, I have an assignment, I have to do an oral presentation, they didn't expect that. But what I oftentimes find is that when persons come and they get into the groove of doing these oral presentations, persons who thought that they couldn't present before they came and was shy, of doing presentation, even in front of their peers as a class, they caught on to it, and they're presenting and improving in their presentation. And this is the kind of thing that we want, not just for a student or a prospective student to come in and get the practical skill. But if you are supposed to communicate with a client, you can do that communication to a level. Because the thing about it is, you're going to find that it's not only going to be 5 or 10 persons with your skill set. Now, what gives you the edge over the others? Apart from probably you are neat and fine in your work. Well, fine, you might find 10 other persons who are neat and fine too. But what is going to give you the edge is the way how you can communicate, your oral communication, your physical presentation, to your client, that a client can feel comfortable when you explain things. Because that's one of the things that I find as somebody that is in the industry. Some of these technical terms, if you can break them down and talk to your client, and your client can understand that, hey, this is what is happening with my air conditioning system, they feel pleased and comfortable, as you work. So they have an idea, they are abreast of what is happening, rather than you just coming in, your face is stiff, your presentation is, and you just come in, do your work, and you leave. Client feel more like a family when you can communicate. You're not hiding anything from them. You put it across well. And so those are some of the stuff that we want to have our students leave with when they finish.
That's actually extremely important. That sales skill.
Indeed.
Not to put it as sales, but it is sales. You're selling yourself at the end of the day, right?
Indeed.
And I said,
it's client satisfaction. That's really what it is.
You're teaching a very robust program, not just the hands-on side, which is obviously the meat of it, but you're actually teaching all the ingredients, all that extra little not frivolous, but the extra dressings that you need for any entrepreneur to have if they want to go succeed or if they want to work for any firm.
Especially for air conditioning, it is listed under what is called building services technology. And building services is the services that causes a building to be livable. So
that's
after,
kind of important.
Right. So after the structure is put up, the roofing, everything, all of that is done. If there is not proper ventilation and cooling and lighting and stuff like that, then the building is not livable, and the building cannot be passed to be livable. And so if we're talking about building services, which is a livable thing, a comfort thing, the service that you offer should encompass all of that, you know what I mean? Even before you finish doing the job, the client should feel livable. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
That's true.
Right, yeah. So that's basically the a compact kind of education that we are imparting to those who come. And we prize on that.
Earl, anything you want to add on to that?
If I may speak from the standpoint of a plumber, I can't but agree with my colleagues. But as Laugh and Lewis, if I may call him that, said earlier.
You sure can. We're live on the radio. You can't take it back now.
He's a colleague in us.
We speak back at you.
From the standpoint of a plumber, honesty is one of those building blocks, that I personally try to build my training around. Plumbing in itself would take you in one of the most private places of homes, business places, that sort of a thing. You're going to be exposed to so many things, to money, to guns. That has been my experience, So if this individual who is a plumbing practitioner get this opportunity to practice in such areas, the banks, that sort of a thing, honesty as a characteristic that individual needs to have. And these are some of the things that we'd have to try and inculcate in these individuals because of the nature of the skill. So hence when they leave, then they become very rounded individuals. Honesty, trustworthiness, and things like those.
It's extremely important, especially when you're talking about building your brand as an entrepreneur or whatever it might be. The last thing you want to have on your description is that you're a dishonest entrepreneur, that you're a dishonest tradesman, and no one wants to invite you back into your home.
Honest in your practice as well, in the way you do your work, the quality of work that you do. No. And of course, not to, I wouldn't want to use the term rob your potential client. That's too strong of a word, but you understand, Rob.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Honesty.
You don't want to be misleading and
integrity is important.
Integrity, yes.
It is.
That's a key part of what we want to inculcate to our students,
That's great. Well, on that note, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to hear again about all the various programs that are on offer at the technical vocational programs at UCCI, along with how you can sign up or how you can recommend your friend or family sign up, costs, and all the logistics of the program. Be back with more talk today, right after this.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Tossing and turning, can't sleep? It's time to turn in your old mattress and go to bed with a new one. Take advantage of the Sealy Temper Labor Day savings at Brand Source Home Gallery. Browse the huge mattress showroom and pick the perfect Sealy Temper today at up to 40% off. Brand Source Home Gallery has tons of new inventory to choose from. You can also save $400 on select adjustable mattress sets with mattresses in every size to suit every budget. Now's the time to save up to 40% and sleep better tonight with a new mattress from Brand Source Home Gallery. Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Call 623-5000. Sale ends September 7th.
Miss World Cayman Islands presents Destiny, Saturday, September 7th, 2019 at the Harkwell Theater. Cocktail hour starting at 6 p.m. with the pageant starting sharply at 7 p.m. Tickets are on sale now at eventpro.ky.
Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane hits. Debris includes roofing materials, downed tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles to the front of the property or at a side that is easily accessible to collection trucks. Debris must be placed in a location that will not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For more post-hurricane waste management tips, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
And welcome back to Talk Today for the last part of our show. I'm Raymond Singh filling in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks, and we have in studio faculty from UCCI and the Technical Vocational Career Programs. A very important conversation, especially when we start talking about economic opportunities for Caymanians and young Caymanians at that, and some of the benefits of these programs. Wayne, if we can put the spotlight back on you, if you can walk us through again, for anybody that might be just now tuning in, what are the programs that are on offer with the Technical Vocational Career Programs, along with just some information about the length of time to receive certifications, registrations, and costs?
Well, before I get into that aspect, I want to add this one little thing. We offer entry-level programs, which are just from about 2 weeks to about 14 weeks long, to get persons starting out in a particular qualification to see if they would like it. We are offering those courses in basic Microsoft Word, basic Excel, computers for adults, which pretty much is designed for persons who have not been comfortable getting in social media. They can get onto that as well. We also have conversational French and conversational Spanish. So if I say to you, parlez-vous français, you're unable to answer.
Français.
Oui,
oui,
oui, oui. Or you habla español. We could also get you started with that as well. So if you want to get started with the conversations French, conversations Spanish, we have that program as well. And those are designed, well, the Spanish is designed to go for an entire year. And at the end of that year, we are building into that a one week immersion at a Spanish-speaking country. So in addition to learn to speak, you get to go and you get the immersion to reinforce what we have brought you into. All right, and that's happening for those levels. We have real estate that's happening as well, and that has different levels as well as a person can then practice if you want to get into real estate. And that's another thing that you can do part-time to earn a little extra money. We also have QuickBooks, and that to get persons who are, because we live in a financial market, we saw it fit to offer QuickBooks to persons who want to get into those, build on their accounting experience or want to get into it, or you have a small business you want to begin to handle your affairs and be able to generate invoices in that regard. We have that training for those persons as well. We also have something called garmage or fruit and vegetable carving. So you learn to do things with your hands. What I find is a lot of times in Cayman, we work very hard with our brains, but sometimes we need a little break, and that course gives you that option as well. We also have something called Painting with a Twist. And it's quite interesting. This is a class where you learn to paint. At the same time, we teach you a little bit about wine. Now, it is our goal that with the wine, it will open your creativity a bit and turn you into the next Van Gogh, we hope. But sometimes you wake up in the morning, you realize that, geez, man, that's not so good. Or you know what? You're going to be very proud of what you do. But the whole idea is that you'll be doing something new and different. That's artistic. That's also quite therapeutic as well. And that's some of the things that we're doing. There's a snippet of what we're doing there in those short areas as well. So that's those all come on our continuing educational program. Okay. And then now persons then can dive into something more longer. The TVET options, which is air conditioning, refrigeration repairs. We have plumbing, we have electrical installation, and those all summarized now into a program also called preventive maintenance. You get a little bit of both. You're not an expert, but you know enough to do the servicing aspect as well in the preventive maintenance. And then we also have fashion designing as well, and the culinary arts for persons to do. And brand new, starting this year, we have the Coding Academy, where persons can come in and get introduced to coding, make your first website in one day. Within a week, you finish the second unit of that aspect, and you're on your way to becoming a coder and building a career in that field as well. So we've designed these programs in a very in a very after looking at the market carefully, we see that these are the needs that the market needs currently, and so we design them to really meet those needs. And that is a snippet of what we offer. So if you want to, well, this program start next week actually. So I want to invite persons to come on down to UCCI. Our admissions hall is open until Friday. Want to encourage persons to get that done. The latest you can start is pretty much Monday. We want to get you down there as quickly as possible. If you're unable to make it, send an email. Tell us you're interested. You can email us at admissions@ucci.edu.ky. That's admissions@ucci.edu.ky. And you can also give us a call. At this point in time, call 623-0572. It rings straight into the admissions hall as we speak. And once you call there, they'll pretty much trace me. I saw them calling me a while ago. I'm sure someone was there, but they'll take that person's number. But they'll track me down or track someone down who will be able to assist you and get you through the process of getting started. And again, these programs start from as little as $165 to that you pay for one particular course. That's the ConEd courses. And for the TVET course, you can get into a payment plan and pay as little as $100 a month. And so it's very affordable.
What is the overall cost of the certification process for?
A registration fee is about $25 to get into the program. The international license exam, we pay between £60 and £80 if it's a UK qualification. If it's a US qualification, maybe $65 to $75. And you pay that roughly around November, so you don't have to pay that right away. We try to design everything so the costs are staggered. So for the technical programs, you're looking at about $1,100 pretty much for the whole year. And you can spread the payment over time with a payment plan.
And then you mentioned that there's a 4-stage process for the 4 levels of certification.
Yes, in each level you move to the next, so there's different enrollment. You just enroll again, register for the course, pay the tuition for that, and the examination fees that goes along with that for the international bodies.
That's great. I just want to take a moment to reflect back on what you said earlier in our previous conversation about the cost of a 4-year degree.
Yes.
We start looking at the price tag of a 6-figure price tag for a 4-year Bachelor of Arts degree in liberal arts that chances are will not garnish you employment.
That is so true.
And the trade school program, which roughly about $4,200 entirety for 4 years, that roughly including all your
pretty
fees
much.
for the price tag.
And in this time, it comes with you having to do internship. So you're getting experience while you're getting qualified. You're going to be so marketable at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and especially when you talk about the soft skills that you mentioned a lot earlier, and it's a very robust program that's not just about the hands-on stuff that you're doing physically learning in the plumbing or electrical AC trades, but those soft skills that teach you how to sell yourself, to build your brand as an entrepreneur, and to be able to market yourself in the community. And you mentioned as well, Earl, the honesty and integrity part that comes with it. So you're not only it's a very robust program that you guys have put together, and I got to give you a lot of credit.
I think we have to. We've sought to find the right partnership. Whether sometimes we seek them out or they seek us out. Because, for example, with the Coding Academy, Cayman Coding Academy, CC approached and said, "Look, we have this thing that I think would work. We look at it, put our heads together, and we just took the leap." And I think when you look at the needs and the expectations, for example, in the world right now for coders, it's a tremendous opportunity, right? And we have someone coming from overseas to get the students started with the program on October the 19th, and persons can begin signing up for those courses on the 9th of September for the Coding Academy. So that's just one novel thing that we're doing. But the idea here is that we're looking for these interesting, unique things that are relevant to the Cayman Islands, that would bring persons immediate employment opportunity. So therefore, you get an immediate return on investment. And not only that, your growth personally that's going to happen for you it just happens automatically, because once you're around this energy, something's going to rub off.
Of course. We mentioned during one of our breaks earlier, these fields tend to typically be dominated by a very male-dominant workforce. What are we doing to actually encourage women or young women to sign up and take part in the TVET programs?
We've Mr. Walcott has always been an advocate of having young ladies in the program, and when I say young ladies, I'm not saying we only want young ladies, but ladies as a whole. And he's always said to me, "Oh, Mr. Jackson, I'm looking at the list and I see, we have one young lady," and he becomes quite excited, because it is an anomaly to find ladies in the program. We find that more and more. Sometimes we go on sites here in Cayman, construction sites, and you see a lady doing a work, and like, was that man supposed to? We stereotype these things,
of course.
And I think we invite ladies as well to come on board. The field is not sex defined, so once you come on board, you get the same exposure as your male counterpart, you compete equally, and you're paid just as your male counterpart in this profession for sure.
I do believe, though, as you speak about that gender part of the thing, I believe that, as I said in my story earlier on, that when I was in high school, TVET was not something that was highly promoted. And even when it was spoken about, it was directed towards the male students.
Of course.
And so a part of dealing with that issue today, I do believe that we need to start even in the high schools, where teachers and career advisors advise, not gender biasly, but can advise whether male or female about TVET and the importance and the lucrative environment that can be created from it. So I believe that that's one of the places that it needs to start, because even in the courses, I've seen females come to do air condition, but I realize that it is not necessarily the 17, 18, 19, 20, but it's the 22, 28, a female that would have left and recognized that, hey, this is what the thing is. So she would have recognized this for herself and then come. But it was not necessarily put to her from that early stage of high school. So I believe that's one of the areas that we probably need to focus on, zooming in on that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Glad we got that last point in. We've covered a lot of different territory. I got to give you credit again for the outstanding. I'm going to put my words here, because you truly are doing a lot of outstanding work at UCCI, and I'm impressed by the level of thought that has been put into this program, how robust you all have taken this initiative. And again, I agree with you that there is a stigma behind the TVET vocational programs. Needs to be removed. That it needs to be looked at as not a last resort option, but one of the mainstream options, one of the first resort options that are available both to young men and to young women from day one and from right off the bat. So I do congratulate you again on some fine work you're doing, and all the best with the registrations and this semester.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes.
We really want to invite persons to come on down again. Admissions at ucci.edu.ky, or give us a call 623-0572. We just can't wait to get you come down and get sorted. Remember, space is limited, and again, look out for Coding Academy. That's coming up as well in October. That's the next thing that's coming. You can begin to come on down and get involved for that as well. And conversational Spanish, conversational French. We have QuickBooks as well. So not just the TVET aspect, we have short courses as well. Plus, we have computers for adults who want to get into that social media stuff. So we have something for everyone. So come on down to UCCI.
I just want to add to that before you finish. I hear Sir Jackson saying, come on down. But it just came to me that we should really be saying, come on up. Because coming to UCCI is really an upgrade, so... Come on up, everybody.
My friend, you should be in sales. I think you definitely took the wrong career path with AC.
I love that.
Sales is where you should be. Make your way up.
It's a reality, though.
Make your way up to UCCI.
Amen.
Wise words by Lawton here. On that note, we do need to call it a wrap for Talk Today this afternoon. Thank you again, as always, to all of you loyal listeners out there in Radio Cayman Nation, and to our guests from the Hazard Management and UCCI, and as always, to the magnificent Miss Susan Watson. I'm Raymond Singh. God bless, and have a fantastic rest of your Thursday.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Shaken yet standing firm, This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.